Great. So welcome everybody to this first SUNY Faculty Development Community of Practice meeting of this semester. Happy to have Hope here to talk about collaborative online international learning, otherwise known as COIL. Some of you may be familiar with COIL, some of you may not. Some of you are just interested in learning. So Hope's going to share a few things and ask you for some of your input about what you'd like to learn about in a second. So we've been doing these meetings. It was like one of those pandemic ideas to meet monthly, at least, sometimes more frequently as a community, and have a topic to talk about. But also these meetings are meant to be opportunities for you to share either announcements of events related to faculty professional development, or other events in general to share with others in this group, or bring up topics. So, Hope's got about a half an hour or so of stuff she's going to talk about. We could spend more time talking about what she has to talk about, or we could talk about other things in the second half hour if you'd like to. Again, this hour is really as much yours as it is mine and Hope's. So hopefully you have other things you want to share. If you don't know me, I'm Chris Price. I'm the academic programs manager for the SUNY Center for Professional Development. I'm in Rochester. Most of my colleagues from the CPD are in Syracuse. So if you could all just put your name and your campus, if you haven't already, in the chat, that would be great. We're recording this. We will share this out with you. We also will put the link to the recording in our Yammer site. So if you aren't in there, Yammer is what we migrated to after Workplace. I think this link will get you to Yammer, but you have to be added to our group. So I'm actually not going to give you the link, because if you want to be added to our Yammer group and you're not there already, just shoot me an email and we'll get you into our group. All right, so let's see, what else did I want to say? A couple of announcements that I have for everybody. So I just wanted to let you know some events coming up. There are 3 kind of signature SUNY events coming up this semester. The first one is the SUNY Online Summit, and I'm going to put the links to each of the events in the chat as I bring them up. So the SUNY Online Summit is taking place in Syracuse, March 8th through the 10th. This will be a hybrid event, so you can sign up to attend in person in Syracuse, or you can sign up and attend online. So the registration information is there. You could check that out. And then in April is the Student Success Summit. So I'll put the link to the Success Summit there. And that's going to be April 26th and 29th. And then finally, there's the CIT conference, which will take place May 23rd. Oh, sorry, the Success Summit will be totally online. CIT conference will be similar to the SUNY Online Summit, and that's going to take place May 23rd to the 26th, and that'll be in Oswego face-to-face, but there will be some online sessions as well. All right, does anybody else have anybody have any announcements or events or things that you'd like to share with the group? Feel free to drop in the chat, raise your hand, share. Okay. Well, if you think of something after, for the second half hour, feel free to share it. But what I'm going to do now is just turn it over to Hope and take it away. Hope you're muted.
Yeah, I'm muted. I'm so sorry. So Hope Windle, SUNY COIL Center, and I'm just like so overjoyed to be here, and I'm really excited to really figure out how we all can work together. And I wanted first to find out from all of you some of you I know what COIL is, and also I'm just really excited to mention that the COIL Center is now being housed at SUNY Oneonta. So Chilton Reynolds, who's on the call, is the wonderful host for COIL. And so, hey, there he is. And so we're really excited about this connection, and that we are on a campus. We're no longer at SUNY administration, and it means a lot of good things for us. And to be directly connected with a teaching and learning center and a powerhouse like Chilton, we feel really lucky. And so before I show slides, or I've got a Jamboard, I've got all kinds of stuff, and I would happily join Yammer. I just gotta get a little help on how to do that. Thanks, Chris. Maybe you can help me with that. And so I want to know what all of you would like to learn about COIL. If you need the basics, if you want to find out who in COIL's doing it, what are our vision and direction, we align really very much. I'm just going to share my screen for a sec. We align. Here are the campuses that do COIL, and they have or are doing it. Or so I saw that let's see, Upstate Medical is on the call, which is really exciting. They were participating in COIL under Seth Perry, and Polytechnic has been doing COIL connected to first year experience. And also so Melissa Prest at Polytechnic, and who else is on the call, and where are you? And Potsdam, Charmaine Blaustein is the coordinator at Potsdam. And so perhaps you know about the people who are doing it on your campus, and perhaps not, but I thought it might be helpful just to see which schools are doing it. And so as far as what people are hoping to get out of this, I'm just going to share this slide and then look at the chat and find out what all of you are thinking. If you want to have a COIL experience, if you want to just hear about it in general. Let's see. Okay, nobody has said yet what they want out of it, but let's see. So let me stop sharing for a sec. So who on the call knows what COIL is? There's one hand, Madeline. Good. Okay, and Rob, yay, and Chilton. Okay. All right, so actually not so many people know, so that's great. Okay, so maybe what we'll do is we'll do a brief intro. Okay, great. So I'm going to share my screen again, and we'll get into the Jamboard in a sec, but I guess for now I'm just going to give you a really rough overview. So COIL, it stands for Collaborative Online International Learning. And what we do is we take the idea of inclusive teaching and we put it to work as a community of learning internationally. So students at the University of Sonora, who are graduate level astrophysicists, were connected with first year students who were coders, and they put together an asteroid tracking app. And so you can take, by that example, you can take people of different levels of college experience, graduate, undergrad, and then put them together in a short or long project which they work on within their course. Another group, which is sort of the story that John Rubin, who was one of the people who was first doing COIL in the SUNY system back at Purchase College in 2004, he had a Fulbright in Belarus, and he came back and was showing his students his imagery and films, and his students were like, yeah, whatever. And he started to show the films that his students made, and the Purchase students were like, oh my God, that's so cool. How can we connect with them? So the thing, on a very basic level, you have one course and it's taught in one particular language, and it could be the same or a different discipline from the other person that collaborates with you, if there's two. And then you think of the collaboration as a module within your course. It doesn't necessarily have to take over the course. And so think of it in terms of developing an online course. We usually have people who are working on developing their collaboration, and they give it a semester to figure out the modality. We teach workshops in how to do the modality, and then we help people connect to partners. In fact, we have a partnering fair happening next week, and we do that quarterly. And then the two professors come together, and with the support of somebody from the Teaching and Learning Center, which would be great. And oh, great. So international nursing program. Sure, we've got international nursing happening too. And then you might design a comparative and collaborative activity. You figure out what technology you're going to use, what your activities are. It's all about being hands-on, high impact, and very much thinking of the fact that global north, global south, so the issues of equity with technology, with language, with socioeconomic things. And it's really an opportunity for the students to be coached by their professors locally to then do the work together. So we always have an icebreaker, and there's some sort of discussion and a project and some sort of conclusion. And my background is as an instructional designer. I used to be at SUNY Ulster as an instructional designer at community college in the Hudson Valley. And before that, I worked in educational software, and I'm also an artist. So I come at it totally out of the box, like creative thinking, but with using the ADDIE approach always. And we've sort of moved into this more flexible model. Chris and I were talking yesterday about there was much more prescriptive of what you were supposed to do. And now what we're realizing is that people will do all kinds of different ways of doing this, from 2 weeks or 3 weeks in maybe a pre-college approach or a first-year experience, or sort of a regular one, which is the 4 to 6 weeks model. Or if a faculty member is doing a travel course, you can suggest that they have COIL to sort of bookend the experience. And that's really makes their travel trip so much more rich. And we also, for people who are doing research, we have, and actually Fulbright scholars have done COIL and has their students do the research in class, or somehow involve the students with research. And we've also involved projects, which will with clients and NGOs, and that has worked really well too. And for nursing, there's a accreditation issue for a lot of healthcare professionals where they need to do something that involves intercultural connection and intercultural team building. And so you can have your COIL focus on that. So that's another approach. So one thing to know, we're in 147 institutions around the world. It has grown tremendously since the pandemic. And it really made a difference with COVID to do COIL. And in fact, what's happening now, and what I'm really excited about to see all of you, is that right now we have this incredible opportunity. AACNU just recently has taken on COIL as something that they see as a fundamental opportunity for all students across the nation. And it's also happening internationally. And governments from Japan to the Netherlands to South Africa to Canada to Mexico and Brazil and Chile and Colombia, they're all putting professional development money towards professors to learn this modality. So this isn't a harebrained idea that Chilton and I are working on or that Chris knew about, but this is actually something that's happening around the world. And we're just really excited that it actually started at SUNY. And so that's why I want to really figure out with all of you, how can we get this back into more SUNY classrooms and to really sort of revitalize the effort in SUNY, and we all know that professors are burned out. So it's a question to have that conversation with all of you. And on our website, it does list a lot of the campuses that we work with. In fact, there's even more that's listed. I need to update it on the website. And just going back to this slide, this is our COIL flower of all the different initiatives throughout the if you ever need to figure out how to connect an initiative that you're working on to what COIL is, or to someone else on your campus who's doing something similar, I love that you can really connect it to a lot of different initiatives. I also want to say, if anybody has questions, please just jump in. Jamie asked, would this work with a 7-week course? Sure. Yeah, we've had professors who've done a 2-week project where the students introduce themselves for homework and they get to know each other in an icebreaker in Padlet. And then they might have a synchronous face-to-face meeting where they talk about this happened with the Dominican Republic institution there, and also with New Paltz, and also at Monroe Community College, they connected Christina Lee and a professor in the Dominican Republic of sociology, and they talked about police brutality. And so it was asynchronous, and then they had a synchronous part. Let's see. I see Stony Brook. Yeah, Stony Brook is not on the list, and we would love to have Stony Brook be part of this. So COIL actually helps all sort of aspects of what's happening. And what I'm so excited to see so many of you here today is because one thing that I'm noticing throughout the world this year is that people who run centers for teaching and learning, like you, they're the ones that are coming to me now. Initially, it was professors. And then during COVID, it was international programs completely freaking out because they weren't able to travel and they needed to fill that void. But now, as things are normalizing, as we're all realizing that this is an experience for everybody, it's the centers for teaching and learning that are coming and want to work. So that's really exciting. So just thinking of your institution, that this is really providing the community of practice for the commitment to global engagement, and also connecting, understanding how to work through different cultures. This is part of inclusive teaching, but really to understand how, when we come from different cultures, because all of us have a cultural way of how we work, it really directs how we work together. And so we work with the institutions to work on that. We work with you, we work with the instructor, we work with the students, we work with the coordinators, the administrators. We try to get everybody to see all aspects of how this works. And also, I'd love to invite you all. We have weekly idea hubs on Fridays where we talk about COIL in relation to pedagogy on the second Friday of the month. The first Friday of the month, we talk about technology and COIL. The third Friday, we talk about culture, language, DEI, social justice issues. And the fourth week, we talk about assessment and COIL. We have monthly community webinars. We've had Alex Pickett a couple months ago speak, and we had a conversation of how you do COIL with NGOs just recently. And we're about to do a webinar. It's always the third Wednesday, and this one I think is going to be SDGs and how you bring in climate change and weave SDGs and climate change into the curriculum that you're teaching, with this component of having an international team project work together. Yeah.
How would folks sign up for those events and like the fair, the partner fair you spoke of earlier? I gave you the website link. Is it information on the website I could post to?
Right. So you need to be a member, honestly. But maybe what we could do is have like an introductory option for the SUNY community so that you could see what it's like. Our partnering fair is actually going to be next Tuesday. It always happens 4 times a year in the dates that are the months that are listed. We have a bulletin that goes out, and it gives people an opportunity to think who they might want to connect with. And so once you become a member, you get access to all these great perks. But I think that maybe Chris and we could put together a list of resources for all of you to check out. And I'd be happy to meet with any of you who are thinking about seriously doing this, because it takes definitely some preparation. You never want to just throw your professors in something, as all of you know. And so getting your program together takes a little bit of coordinating, getting maybe a librarian on board and some specific early adopters. And we also have this thing called Global Guests, where professors go, and it's like teaching squares. You go and you see what other people's courses are like in other parts of the world. And here it is. I'll put there's an article about it here, and I'll also put the quotes from this great Padlet wall. And people just loved it. It was a great way for them to see how other people teach in another part of the world. And they might not even speak the language, but they're learning, even from online courses, they're learning stuff from each other. And we had the first year during the pandemic, we had over 80 people participate. And the second year we had 67. Yeah. So, and 11 countries. And so it's really a fun program for professors who aren't ready to commit to COIL, but who want to do it. So most recently, we've been focusing on, obviously, inclusive teaching and how that works with COIL. And honestly, it is what COIL does. We are all about inclusive teaching. We're looking at global north, global south, and inequities, and how do students figure that out with their peers in a class. And really what's happened is the international sphere has always been somewhat siloed, and they've been thought of as sort of a travel agent on campuses. And meanwhile, the domestic diversity is putting out fires. They're dealing with a lot of crises on campus, and they're not able to have that inclusive workplace where we're moving towards with gen eds right now. And let's see. I don't know why that's saying that, but anyway, so what we're finding is that COIL is this wonderful connection where heritage language learners are realizing their connection to their past by connecting to people who are speaking the language of their family. So because we have a lot of connections with Chile and Colombia and Mexico, this is really happening a lot in Mexico, and also Brazil. And so it's that kind of connection, and also for people for EOP connection, to start thinking, having students think of their identity and where they are in terms of privilege, and what is their given identity versus their chosen identity. And so it's these kind of opportunities that we're all wrestling with, trying to figure out how to bring that into the classroom. And when you do COIL, it's this perfect way to do it. So with EOP and Global Learning for All, we got very excited about connecting to those pre-college students and having them start to think about college in terms of not boxes to tick, but actually that they could think more broadly about their career. And so we've run it for 2 summers, and these are all of the SUNYs that participated last summer. And we worked with a school in Venezuela and also Brazil. And for Venezuela, it was really intense to talk about food insecurity because they're going through some systematic violence with their political regime. And in Brazil, you know, they also they enslaved people, as we did. And so to have those kind of conversations and to see first-year students in the classroom together has been a very powerful experience. And so they did it with just in the summer for 2 to 3 weeks. They did the same building of the team, and it just was much shorter. And here was one that they did about food insecurity and how food insecurity is connected to chronic disease. And this was taught by at Suffolk by a biology teacher. And she was trying to impart science, sort of science readiness skills in the classroom, and doing it with this collaboration made it a lot more fun for the students. So again, those are the schools in SUNY that are doing it. And so I just want to say, you know, in terms of them thinking about jobs versus careers, and that our students, I don't know if people have seen this great graphic, but our students are more of a gig economy now. And so we're creating students who are more ready digitally, professionally, to do this kind of work, that COIL is helping them in a big way. And NACE is recognizing that. And I also said that NN and AAC&U is recognizing that if students work with people from diverse backgrounds and cultures, they're more likely to hire that student. And so this is the invitation to all of you to do this. Having this high impact practice obviously is really helpful. And I'll just end with this slide of Femi Higgins, who was a student at Oswego and did COIL as an undergrad. And they were from an immigrant family born in the US. And now they run a nonprofit peace activist organization, and they also are teaching COIL. And so here's somebody who probably at first wasn't sure where they were going to go and really found their way with COIL. And so with that, I mean, I have lots of other slides that I can share, but I'm not gonna, because I want to make sure there's time for just finding out, knowing that, and I'll share this too, these updates with all of you. That would be fun for you to see, that we want to get professors on board. I know that professors have trouble with their working load, and to try to do something like this is a heavy lift. We usually see the people that are interested in coming to us are usually adjuncts who want to beef up their portfolio, or they're people from somewhere else, not there might not be from your campus, they might be from another part of the world, but are teaching on your campus. And then also people who are close to retirement, who feel like they get how to teach, but they want to sort of spice up what they do. So with that, I just want to invite all of you to consider, what will it take, and what do your centers need to do this kind of work? And I'm happy to answer any more questions too. And I also have a Jamboard that we can go to if everybody is going to be really quiet.
Mhm. Any questions for Hope? Anybody that's done a COIL course want to share their experience teaching a COIL course or participating in one? Just feel free to jump in.
Hi, I'm Hannah Mercier from Stony Brook University, and I haven't done or heard about COIL before registering for this date. As I put in the chat, I already identified some collaborators, some colleagues in Spain who I wanted to work with, and we want to align our OT programs, different courses in the programs, to have students meet up at one point, early on in their career, and because it's a 3-year program, early on, and then again later on, and to kind of like, it's almost like a buddy, but also they get obviously a lot of exposure to different practices around the world and so forth. So I was going to do that independently, and then I heard about this webinar. I said, oh, that's great. Let's hear what resources you guys can offer. And it's you just hit us with all of them. So I've got to spend some time on the website a little bit more. But I guess I don't know too much about what would need to happen, like on the bureaucratic side of things. Like I was just going to kind of bypass and anything, make sure our course objectives were still met, but not like move forward independently of any type of affiliation with like something formal on campus, because I'm new faculty, but I've still found like some things to red tape to tie us up or delay things that were a potential partnership or an exciting new idea or something like that. So is there, I don't know really what to ask you. I just wanted to give you my first thoughts and see, hopefully I'll hear from some people who've done a COIL project, or if I really want to take my work into, affiliate with a COIL, like an official COIL project, or just kind of learn from your resources.
Well, what you might want to do is come to our partnering fair next Tuesday. We've got people from different parts of the world who also maybe have occupational therapy students, and you could find a partner and then work on your if you wanted to do a collaboration together, usually by finding a partner and learning about the modality. We have courses that explain how the modality works, and so we have a sort of a suite of courses. We have a course that's the fundamentals of understanding how culture interacts with work, and we go into a deep dive of that. And then we have, these are 3-week asynchronous courses that have 3 Zoom synchronous meetings. So one meeting a week that's an hour. And then another course that's that COIL Elements, and I can share my screen and show you these things. And that course focuses on things that, as an instructional designer, I always wanted my professors to learn how to do. How to run a good, effective team, a student team, how to make that work well, how to think about that well, and how to use the different realms well, like what you do asynchronously versus synchronously. And so to actually prepare professors to do these things with their partner. And then we have a course that helps people set up their project. And so I could just show some of these courses to you in Padlet or on the website. I think Chris put the website in the chat, but yeah, I'd be happy to talk to you some more, Hannah. I think there's all kinds of ways that we could work together and support you in what you want to do. And I just can't stress enough how rich the experience is for students. And it's also, as Chilton can attest to, and also Robin, that the professors oftentimes go on to get a Fulbright and go to the country of their partner and work even more on their research and connect with and do COIL even deeper. Or we've had Robin does the MTech, and we had a student intern who worked with her, which was very successful. And so she's actually made a part of MTech focused on COIL tools that work with privacy issues and also internationally, and dealing with censorship issues. And so I can't stress enough how there's sort of this joyous element to doing this work when you're connecting with people with different parts of the world. But there's also an aspect to it where things fall apart. And honestly, that's a good thing for our students right now, to, in a controlled setting, when have things fall apart, and how do you pick it up, and what do you need to do, and to work on those soft skills. Calvin Gant, who is the Chief Diversity Officer at Monroe, said, when it comes to COIL, having students get a really good dose of how to speak to each other, basically speak to each other and have to work out how to get along, is such a basic skill, but we all need to learn it. And so it's an opportunity to do that. But I'm scratching my head because many campuses across the world are facing faculty that are tired, and how do we find some joy for them to keep going? And I will say, when they get to meet each other from different parts of the world, or if we've been working with professors who are in Ukraine, who have the lights out, but they're on Zoom, it just blows your mind. Or Yemen, or different parts of the world that are under duress. And for our students to have that experience too has been really amazing. Wow, tough crowd. Woo.
Jessica has a question in the chat. Hope.
Great.
Do you see it?
Okay. Let's see. Do I need to join the COIL network if my institution is a member? No. Who's your campus, Jessica?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I was muted. I'm at Buff State.
Oh, great. Yeah. Joy Garrett. Yeah. It would be great for you to work with her. And absolutely, you can join and come to the meetings and all the goodies. Please, would love it. And you can take any of the courses if you want, or I can get you access to the resources and all of that.
Hope, what, so if someone, so you have the list of member campuses on the website somewhere? I wasn't able to see that. And so
Oh,
if someone's on the campus that's not a member, I have two questions. So like, is it a flat fee for a campus to be a member, or is it, like, I know at the CPD, we have like different fees depending on the size of the campus. And then the other question I had was like, if someone's on a campus that's not currently a member, like who would they go to, someone in international ed on their campus, or, I mean, who
They
would
can come
you recommend they
directly.
approach?
They can come directly to me.
I guess just to find, like, because if your campus is going to become a member, I mean, that sort of, I would guess that unless you're kind of, I don't know, an administrator on a campus, it would be weird to make that choice as just a faculty or staff member. Do you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Sure.
if someone's going to become a member of the CPD, we would probably, it's usually somebody in like, an administrative position who makes that choice, right? So like,
Right.
for folks
So
here, go ahead. Yeah.
so oftentimes we have people who are coordinators who are either international officers, or they're professors, or they're from centers for teaching and learning. And so if you have if you're trying to get it going on your campus, I would put together a team, have a conversation with like Chris was saying, your international officer, or if you have some excited early adopter professors, that's always really good to have part of your team. I know at Brockport, Chris, you had a very enthusiastic group of COILers, and they were connected to the instructional designer and also the international group. And there's Rob.
Yeah. I just want to add on to that. So great question. I know at the University of Buffalo, we at first had just one of the different schools that's part of UB that became a COIL member. And then we had one of our centers within the university that it happens to be our experiential learning center that became very excited and has created a full university membership. But I'm just wondering, Hope, the way that CPD has a page that says, here's our CPD members and here's our point people, that might be really helpful to add to that membership list that you had.
Okay.
I know it's kind of hard to keep up because they change so often, but at least if you have the old person up, they could say, oh, the new person at UB is this person.
Right. Right. Well, we're having a celebration next Thursday, and I'm just getting people from campuses around the world to post and also to put their coordinator listing on that. But yes, I definitely, this summer, when there's a little bit more breathing room, we're gonna change the website so that it has it goes to people's COIL pages from different campuses. Yeah, that's a good point.
And then I have another comment I'd like to share.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for highlighting the work that MTech has done with COIL. For anybody on the call that's not familiar with MTech, it is a online training opportunity to help learn about freely available tools. And we had a great intern, and we've had some great meetings with the COIL team, including Hope and faculty from Venezuela. And we've had a workshop with the Venezuela faculty. But we have also just kind of taken that work that was started through COIL, that we had the interns start to go through and evaluate the tools for privacy and security. We have a database of 500 resources, and about 50 of them are already done. And we did submit, Jenny is on the call from Stony Brook. Hi, Jenny. She is the PI of a new IITD grant that is asking to kind of recreate the COIL or the MTech model in Brightspace. to take that database of tools that we've been collecting and starting to evaluate and trying to move that over. So I just wanted to fill you in, Hope, that good work that was started through COIL is continuing to grow. And hopefully with IITG, it will even grow further. So thank you.
Yay. I'm so glad. That's wonderful.
And if anybody has any projects that they'd like to do cross-culturally, we would love to have maybe additional groups of students continue to evaluate, the technology tools and how they're being used in their COIL projects. I'd be happy to talk to any faculty or anybody from any campuses that might be interested in doing that.
And the conversation about Brockport that's going on, that the COIL coordinator is, I think somebody named Keith, who is an international officer there, but I think he wants to find someone else to be the coordinator. I don't know if he wants to stay being the coordinator. I can look that up more.
I know Jay
Jennifer,
Zhang,
you're at Brockport.
Jay Zhang from the education department has done a lot of COIL stuff. I know she and Ann, who used to be there, have presented a lot about COIL.
Yeah, I usually most of our study, most of our programs are study abroad in person that we do for nursing. But I'm the director of the RN to BSN program, which is 100% online. And my students are all working nurses. And right now, with the way, the shortages, they don't have time to take a week off I mean, they want to, but they can't. So I want them to still be able to have an international experience. And when I was at the Sigma conference in Scotland last July, I went to a global education presentation. And when I got there a little late, but on the screen, it talked about SUNY COIL. So I thought it was somebody from, New York with me. And then I find out they're from El Paso and that they have this COIL nursing experience that is just a week long with Egyptian students. And I thought that would be amazing for my students. And when I talked to them afterwards, I asked them about their program and if they would allow students from out of state to be able to participate in their program. And they said, well, we'll get you in contact with our person that handles the program in Egypt, and maybe you can create your own program. And since they worked with SUNY COIL, I didn't know if that would be something that I could just do through COIL, or if I do have to go through I emailed the person in Africa like 3 times and I have not heard back. But I would love to be able to create an fully online opportunity for students who can't travel. And several of our study abroad programs, which Hope had mentioned, had to be canceled because of civil unrest in those areas. We had one in Costa Rica, we have one in Haiti. The newest one is the one that we always did every year in Peru. So we put all this work in, get all the plane tickets, everything all set up, and then because of these governmental issues, they end up being canceled. So I would love to have more online experiences available for students if possible, but I don't know who to talk to at this point since I'm not getting any.
Talk to me.
Yes, perfect. Thank you, Hope, because I'm not getting any responses from the person that the faculty in El Paso had referred me to. So I'm kind of like in a rut trying to figure out where to go. So awesome. If we can definitely touch base and figure out what we can do to make this happen, I would be so grateful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I put in the chat a link. We had a webinar where a few different nursing professors, Empire State and Durban University of Technology in South Africa, and then a nursing group. Actually, we also have I have another recording where Lindsay Crane from Brockport talks about the trip. And, but
she's
they did,
gone.
right,
but-
they did a virtual trip with, I mean, not a trip, but they did virtual work with an NGO, either in
Probably
Ecuador,
in
Guatemala, or, okay,
I think it
And-
was Peru. We work with Valley Health there, which is an NGO. And then when we go there in person, we stay in Ollantaytambo, which is where they're based. But because of COVID, we had to cancel, and they transitioned it into into more of a COIL program. But we were hoping to have our first back to face-to-face study abroad there this year. But again, like I said, they had some governmental issues, so it got canceled. Or no, it didn't get canceled. I think it was postponed till May. I think they're going to go in May instead if everything settles down.
that's good. So, Jessica, not everybody does speak English all that well. I mean, some do, some don't, but that's part of it. We make suggestions of how you can put both languages in your instructions, and people use Google Translate in different tools, WhatsApp, or if you're using Padlet, or even YouTube can do closed captioning. Since English is sort of the language of business, many students around the world want to learn how to use it, and their professors want them to learn. And so we have USer students who just assume that everybody can speak English perfectly. And so it's actually a wonderful opportunity for USers to really think more carefully about how they communicate with each other. And so it brings this equitable issue into the conversation. How do we do this? And yeah, it's a logistics question, but it's also a question of making sure that students on the fly can figure out how to make a more equitable situation occur. And I think it's really important, especially for USers who just assume that everybody speaks our language, everybody knows our culture, everybody knows everything about us, and we know nothing about so many other places in the world. And so that's another reason why it's been so valuable, especially for USers, to sort of blow their minds a little bit about where students are, and how I think to have that initial conversation where they're realizing that their YouTube videos are being censored, or that their point of reference is not the same point of reference for the students who they're working with. So yeah. So we provide a lot of help around how to navigate translation, and we also know that stuff will come up. And so we try to prepare the professors in doing a lot of reflection exercises to remind them the importance of reflection on the fly. And anyway, yeah. So, okay, social work and language barrier could connect to course student learning objective. Great. Okay. Yeah. And then there's the other piece where if the language comes from a heritage background, that there's a point of pride in connecting to students who are speaking that language, who are in the world. And even if the media has sort of painted that particular culture as drug runners and thugs, or from an S-hole country, that you're getting to meet students who are absolutely not that. And so, yeah. That's true, Robin. That's a really good point too. And there are some tech tools that you can use if you want. There's a tool called Streamer. Usually I always have the closed caption tool going, and And we also teach about and help people think about when you're in a call like this, what do you do to have prompts, and you speak slower and you don't use metaphors and you don't use acronyms, and or you think about these things and have a conversation about it. So yeah, that's a really good question. Thanks for asking.
I put in the chat to the UFS and Faculty Council of Community College guidance on the diversity, equity, inclusion, and social justice requirement for the new gen ed. We've been getting a lot of requests from folks on campuses for training and professional development for faculty who might be tagged to teach these courses. And you know, and it says explicitly in the guidance that I posted there that it, you know, the requirement is not limited to diversity, equity, inclusion, and social justice in the United States. And so I think you know, the stuff that you're doing at COIL should also be considered by campuses, and the workshops and the trainings that you have to prepare folks to teach those types of courses, or those courses with that kind of content. So I just figured I'd throw that in the mix. But we are almost out of time, so I want to thank you for a interesting first session, and thanks for, you know, all your offers to help folks sort this all out. And you know, I'm excited that you have a new home in Oneonta there, and so
Thanks.
we're very lucky to have COIL. I mean, COIL is an internationally known thing now. I see you know, things, conferences, events, things all the time in the education landscape. And you're right, it started here.
That's right.
All right, well, good to see you all. Our next meeting is going to be on March 21st, and that's going to be using a community of talking about using a community of practice approach for preceptor, or those who do sort of clinical supervision on campuses. So I know a lot of folks, you know, work with people in that role who are, you know, not necessarily faculty, but so anyway, I'm looking forward to that session. And Botash from Upstate will be there to lead that discussion. And like I said, I mean, you know, if you're coming to that meeting and you have something else you want to chat about, feel free to you know, bring that as well. And we ended up talking all about COIL today. I mean, it was a subject that was ripe for discussion. But if you only signed up for today and you want to sign up for one of the other ones, you could just go back to that link, and then you'll see the session for today, and then you'll just have to click one of the other 2 sessions we have this semester. But enjoy the rest of your week, and hopefully we'll see you some next month. And if you want to get into Yammer, you know, feel free to post questions or start topics there as well.
Yeah, I gotta get Yammer going.
Do you want to? I'm going to stop the recording.
Okay.
Yeah.